Evening, the guard said, not meeting his eyes. Members only. I am one, the man replied. The rope stayed still. Laughter leaked through glass. Policy, unspoken, filled the space. He stood calm, feeling the old test again, knowing this door judged faces, before names, long before voices ever spoke first. He didn't shout, the guard said. It's policy. The word landed heavy. Policy meant no eye contact, no explanation. The executive nodded, hearing old rooms, old denials. The guard stood taller, practiced calm hiding judgment, authority learned without challenge, certain the rule would protect him tonight from consequences he feared. I am a member. The words hung, quiet but sharp. The guard blinked, hand frozen on the rope. Voices paused inside. Laughter stuttered. A junior security guard shifted, eyes flicking nervously. Policy didn't answer back. Authority felt suddenly unsure. The executive waited, calm, feeling how restraint could weigh, heavier than yelling. No one moved, no one spoke. The room for a moment belonged to the one who refused to argue. He glanced at his watch, slow and steady. No step forward, no retreat. The guard shifted, unsure if patience was his ally or his enemy. Phones tilted down, whispers paused. I don't know why he's here, one guest muttered. The executive waited, calm, letting stillness speak louder than argument. The rope felt smaller, the room quieter. Some doors didn't need force. They crumbled when the right presence stood quietly, unshaken, unhurried. They said we're selective, the guard muttered, glancing down the hall. High class, another added, shrugging. A voice from inside laughed lightly. I was turned away once, the executive said, quiet, almost to himself. Twice, he continued, thinking of the investor. The guard shifted, uneasy. It's always a misunderstanding, he whispered, hesitating. The executive didn't answer. Silence filled, the space heavy and unbroken. Policy protected them, but dignity waited, patient. And in that stillness, the old rules of exclusion felt fragile, ready to be exposed by presence alone. They said it's discretion, the guard said, voice flat. Means what exactly? The executive asked, calm. Means I decide who goes in, the guard admitted, hesitating. Even me? The guard swallowed. Rules aren't broken, just applied. The executive nodded slightly, remembering past boardrooms where the same words hid the same bias. A junior guard shifted behind him, uneasy. You always do this, the executive said softly. I'm keeping the image clean, the lead guard replied, eyes darting. No one else spoke. The silence said more than rules ever could. The system worked perfectly for those it protected until dignity stood patient at the threshold, refusing to yield. He looks legit, the junior guard whispered, voice barely carrying. Not your call, the lead replied, eyes hard. The bartender leaned on the counter, silent, hands folded. A woman tilted her phone, capturing more than she spoke. Conversation slowed. Laughter faltered mid-sentence. The rope felt heavier. The executive didn't move. Presence alone shifted the air, turning quiet observation into pressure and making those who once ignored wonder what it meant to stand on the right side of silence. Isn't that Marcus Hale? A voice muttered behind the rope. Radios crackled, sharp. The lead guard straightened, eyes narrowing. He's just a member, a junior said, uneasy. The executive stayed still, chest calm, recalling his father's lesson. Restraint is survival. They misread it as weakness. Hands tightened on radios, postures stiffened. Silence stretched heavier than any command. No one moved forward. No one spoke louder. The quiet held the shift. A moment before authority realized the balance had changed. The elevator doors slid open. Stepped out. The lounge went quiet mid-laugh. Glasses paused in hands. Mr. Whitmore, someone whispered. The lead guard stiffened. "It's him," the junior said under his breath. "Clear the entrance," the lead whispered into his radio, voice tight. The executive stayed still, calm, watching as authority shifted in real time. No one questioned. No one moved. The presence alone made rules irrelevant, proving who truly defined the space. The owner's gaze landed on him. A pause stretched. "Marcus?" The voice trembled. Eyes shifted. Conversation stalled mid-sentence. He's outside?" whispered a guest. The lead guard swallowed hard. "This can't be," he muttered into his radio, hands trembling slightly. The bartender behind the glass glanced down, silent. I mean, he's a member?" Another voice asked, low, uncertain. The executive stayed still, calm, letting the recognition do its work. No words could erase the moment. The truth weighed heavier than policy, exposing all that was hidden. "Marcus, why are you standing out here?" The voice was calm, measured, almost gentle. They wouldn't let me in," he said, quieter still, as if the words carried themselves without effort. The lead guard froze, fingers tightening around his radio. No, that can't," he started, but the words dissolved before leaving his mouth. Guests shifted, whispers died mid-breath. The bartender behind the glass looked down, avoiding eye contact. The silence stretched, heavy, undeniable. 2 sentences. That was all it took. Truth hovered, unchallenged, turning authority into evidence and leaving everyone in the room suddenly aware. The radio hit the floor with a sharp clang. Everyone jumped slightly, eyes flicking toward the sound. "Explain." The owner's voice was calm, measured, but heavy enough to make the guard's knees feel weak. The lead guard stammered, voice cracking. He looked around, cameras reflected back at him from every angle. Witnesses shifted, some leaning forward, others stepping back. The protagonist stood still, hands relaxed at his sides, breathing even. No words, no gloating. The guard swallowed, silent, as the weight of the room pressed down. Authority had slipped quietly, caught on tape, documented without debate. For the first time, the door did not protect power. It exposed it. Days passed, and the phone buzzed less. Headlines scrolled past, each fading faster than the last. The club released its statement, words polished, careful, apologies that said nothing at all. The lead guard packed his locker. Hands moved slowly, methodical, avoiding eyes. No one spoke, no one confronted. He paused, glanced at the empty benches, and exhaled. Silence filled the room, thick, unavoidable. The weight of consequences pressed in, heavier than any order or rule. For the first time, power had a cost, and no one could hide behind it. The coffee sat, untouched. "Daddy?" she asked, voice soft, careful. Her eyes darted away before he could answer. He nodded. "Morning." The clink of the spoon against her bowl was louder than words. Outside, a neighbor waved briefly, too brief, too distant. He paused at the door, hand hovering on the knob. No calls, no messages. Her silence stretched across the room, heavier than any argument. He breathed in slowly. The collapse had moved inside. It wasn't on the news. It wasn't in the papers. It was here, in the kitchen, in the quiet, in the spaces where love used to meet his eyes. "Everyone, please take a seat," the manager said, voice steady but taut. A junior executive whispered, "Mandatory training again?" He didn't reply. The HR rep cleared her throat. "We're reviewing policies, changes, small but necessary." A guard shifted, glancing at his colleague. "No one is above the rules," the manager added, eyes scanning the room. Silence filled the gaps between words, heavier than before. Conversation stalled mid-sentence. The assistant muttered under her breath, feels different this time. Yes, someone else said softly. Lines, drawn where there were none. Heads nodded barely. The old comfort of silence had eroded, replaced with awareness. No cheers, no applause, just the quiet weight of accountability settling into the room. He steps into the corridor, slow, deliberate. A guard glances up. Back so soon? I'm here, he says quietly. The guard hesitates, then nods, uncertain. A colleague whispers, everything different now. He doesn't answer, only pauses at the door. The hallway feels smaller, memory heavy. Access was never the victory, he murmurs to himself. Being seen was. Radios click back on. Rules hang on new walls. Silence spreads, unbroken. No cheers, no acknowledgement, just the weight of what's finally visible.